Hey guys, I want to tell you that many of your organizations are both underfunded and they're understructured. And in this next season, that's going to cost you guys more than just money, because we have entered a time and space where pressure is increasing across every single system. I'm talking about economics. Y'all are business people. I'm talking about communities. There are community-based organizations in the government, for my government contractors. Every aspect of infrastructure that you can imagine is about to experience increased pressure. And during this time, the organizations that people are going to turn to, they're not going to be the most visible. They're going to be the most prepared. Here's the part that nobody's telling you guys. A lot of these organizations, ministries, and businesses that you admire, the ones who are the most visible, they've got the buildings, they've got the programs, they have expansive reach. Do you know that they were not just built on donations alone? There is a complete system that exists behind them. There's a model that many people are not talking about, and it is oftentimes gate-kept amongst the elite, right? Or amongst the giants who have been in this space for years. An entire structure, a system that many of you might actually have some familiarity with. You might have heard about it. You might have even possibly discerned or suspected that there was something else to it. But a lot of people are not talking about it until today. My name is Akia Hartnett. I am your business bestie, your faith and funding strategist, and I help all things faith-based organizations. Whether you're a nonprofit, you're a ministry, you're a church, or a for-profit business, you guys are going to understand how to build the infrastructure required to access both public, in terms of government, and private money, corporate dollars, in order to scale your impact and sustain what you've been called to carry. Because here's the truth. I'm going to say it. You're not going to like it, but get used to it. A lot of you all are under-resourced. You're understaffed. You are absolutely behind the 8 ball and where you could potentially be in terms of your service and opportunity. But one thing for certain too, for sure, you are not lacking opportunity. You are doing the work every single day, 24/7, 365. This work that you guys are actually already doing is funded. Hello, someone, meaning there is funding available for the work that you're already doing. You're running food pantries, feeding people. You're housing folks. You've got housing programs. You've got real estate. You've got property management. You are housing individuals. You are running community-based programs. You are solving everyday real problems. The issue is, you all were never properly shown how to structure the work that you've been doing. So you have been operating in purpose, but without the proper positioning. And in this video, I'm going to show you something that most people were never supposed to connect the dots on. This is going to reveal the model behind every high impact organization. I promise you, if you pull back the curtains, if you were to sit at their board meetings and have conversations and discussions, if you were a fly on the wall, you would begin to see the very things that we're going to reveal today. They've all been hiding in plain sight. So let me show you. One of my clients, we'll call her Chris. She flew out to a conference for a well-known church. She's been in our ecosystem for a while. And Chris gets there and she begins looking around at the facility. This event was designed to bring thought leaders, innovators, pastors, ministers, leaders out to have kind of like a private roundtable discussion. And the goal was to bring them into this meeting or into this summit as a means to share strategy, right? Because everything happens behind closed doors, in boardrooms, in private meetings, in masterminds, inside of communities like right here today. And so this event, as I mentioned, the goal was to bring together thought leaders and to kind of give them a glimpse into how this organization was able to achieve the success that they have. So Chris gets there And when you walk in, guys, these are organizations. This is an organization that you would be utterly impressed with. You walk in and there's a full-on gym, like as you would see in a college or a major staple in a community. There's a full athletic gym. There's a fully running daycare that is servicing the community, and it has upwards of 50 to 100 children processing through this daycare on an annual basis. They've got all of the community programs, the mental health, the substance abuse recovery, everything that you would expect from a very high-resourced, high-impact organization. So just like you, in true fashion to Chris, inside of the closed door conversation, she asked a very simple question. Guys, how did you do this? This is absolutely amazing. How did you fund all of this? Please tell me. And let me put a pin here for a moment, because I want to give you a little bit of background into Chris. So Chris is all things finance. She's all things financier. She's all things funding. And so she understands what goes into operationally running organizations like this. Chris comes from a Fortune 500 company, manages multi-million-dollar budgets. So she has intellectual subject matter expertise into what it would take financially to sustain an operation like this. So she's like, how are y'all doing this as a church? The answers that she began to get were extremely vague. Now, things like, well, God did it. And he does. I'm not discounting that. Well, we just believed God for it. Okay, that's fine too. Our faith got us there. All of those things are theoretically correct. But at the end of the day, even behind the mask or our profession and confession of faith, because it's not a mask, so I stand corrected, but behind our profession of faith and the things that we believe, God gives us the innate ability to also create wealth, to put our hands to the plow, to participate in the discovery, in the capture, in the pursuit of both wealth and programs. So although we do have to partner or attach our faith to something, faith without works is dead. So really what Chris was asking is, what are the works? What are the actual things that you're doing? But instead of the actual solution, instead of what was actually being partnered with their faith in terms of a process or system, she was left with vague answers. And it didn't sit right with her because, one, she's been trained by the best, so she knows to ask additional questions. And two, that was just her nature. Remember, I told you she comes from a financial background. So Chris kept digging. And eventually, what was shared with her changed everything. Y'all want to know what it was? Listen, what was shared is that the pastor's wife was actually a grant writer. I'm going to let that pause for a moment because I want you to sit with that. Much of what they were seeing was actually funded, y'all, through government grants, contracts, and programs. Now, hear me very clearly. What I'm talking about, these conversations that we're getting into, is not about exposing the church. That we are not in the business of exposing the church. We are in the business of education and awareness so that if you have new information, you can get new activity and new results. So this conversation is about exposing an outdated model. A model that needs to be modernized and brought into the future of community impact, the future of social enterprise, the future of kingdom advancement. Because what Chris discovered is something that most people never will be told. Every high impact organization, I don't care if you're for-profit, nonprofit, if you're faith-based, if you're secular, in order to thrive and scale at the level that you're called to operate, you must have the proper structure and you must have the proper infrastructure in place, whether that's a community development corporation, whether that's a for-profit entity, whether that's a nonprofit entity, whether that's an economic development corporation, whether you are utilizing government contracts, whether you are utilizing government grants, whether you are utilizing corporate funding. It is all a strategic system. The donor model alone, whether they wanted to admit it or not, did not build what they were looking at. And we are thankful. I am thankful for donors. In a few of our other videos, we actually address the relationship between socio and economic, meaning those organizations that are faith-based in the marketplace and the ministries that are called to deal with social injustice, enterprise, and community impact. And what does that actually look like moving forward? So the donor model was good for what it was, when it was, and that is an opportunity for everybody to give and to continue to give as individuals. But when we begin to open up the expansive use case of why ministries and how ministries need to thrive in the future, it is going to require a new wineskin. It is going to require a new model of ministry and a new way of doing it. And once you all see it, I promise you, you'll never unsee it again. So the question really becomes, what are you already doing right now that can qualify for this sort of funding? What types of programs? What types of products? What types of community outreach are you operating in that will allow you to qualify and align for the funding that's available? Because chances are it is much more than you think. And that's what we're breaking down in the next video. I'll see you soon.